They have a magic place and village on Lake Constance in Austria. Georg has led almost all the international conferences on water and Emoto's group for many years in Austria and Liechtenstein. And Georg's son ran Emoto's lab. Georg is very close to Emoto when he was around, and also biogeometry work. Georg is a grandfather in his field of water healing, water research, water microscopy, and healing energies in water. Georg is a grandfather in these things. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
His book on healing water is amazing.
Actually, grandfather of 9 grandchildren. And I would like to thank Dan for the invitation, being with you. And my conference is maybe a little bit different, as I try to combine science with art and spirituality. So somehow, and I thought just to start with, let's have a little meditation just to watch something beautiful. And how I come in the presentation. Well, this was made by my son for the Metropolitan Opera, an exhibition from Maria Callas. And when I gave to Emoto the idea to make from the divine names, from the Arabic divine names and the Islamic divine names, crystals. And then the idea was, because I knew from Dr. Karim that, and also from an alchemistic book, that vocals and words and divine names have healing effects. And of course, like before the lecture, a vocal also is a toroid field. And also the shape, when I make the shape with my mouth to pronounce a vocal or the divine name, only even it doesn't come out a sound. Only the shape already has the energy. So the question was for us, also my idea was, because many people refuse, if they see a Arabic writing, they go already like this. But the crystals, they like all over the world, they like the crystals to see. So, for example, here you see, maybe I can have a second, die Tasche, der unten. Nein, da unten, die Sack.
The toroidal angles are mirrored in the structure of Hebrew and Sanskrit, and also the pronunciation of each sacred letter, spectrogram from the Hebrew alphabet, creates that morphic. So it's the shadow of a torus, optically and phonon, which then feeds the water. And Emoto measured that at Georg's suggestion.
And we wanted to see if you spell a divine name, the effect on your body. I've had heart-rhythm problems for 1.5 years and a lot of pain in my small intestine. And then I asked Dr. Karim, he told me that he would tell me someday the connection between the names and the organs. So then we decided to make it as an experiment. When you spell the name, then your organ goes okay. And the same was then when you look to the water crystal. So for example, this is from Nur, Nur, from the heart chakra. This is the pineal gland. And what you see here is the crown chakra. So I made those like this, part as an art, but also to diagnose people. For example, somebody has a problem, and there are some pictures that are really, really powerful. For example, this is Rahmani Rahim. There's one especially for, maybe I have it. This is for the liver. And I have it here. This one is very, very good for ladies. All this part here. And so this was an idea. You can see here the different crystals and the calligraphies. It was done in a way that the calligraphy was written again and with a prayer until it resonated like a Kachina doll. It can be sleepy, and it was...
Tufan's teaching this in Turkey, in the Eastern world. He'd love to share that information. Sure.
So we did it also, maybe you know this very nice cricket song. It is slowed down the cricket.
This is slow cricket.
And we got this crystal out of it. And I showed it to a friend, to a Sufi master, and he loved it so much because in Sufism you say the whole creation is praising God. Only the human forgot it. So he made an ilahi out of it, a religious ilahi, praising God.
So how is the sound fed to the water? Is it speaker by?
Yeah, yes, you keep it, for example, we record it and let it over one night.
Oh, so it's overnight?
Yes.
And you record it?
Or with the divine names, we let it stand 14 days.
And tell them briefly the process you used to make the picture, briefly. Is it sensitive crystallization of the blood like the Steiner? the process you use to make the picture?
Well, it is, you froze the water,
It's a slow
you freeze the water,
You photograph basically a very slow, thin film freezing
and then at the beginning you have seen the short lives of growing and dying crystals.
That water crystal was actually growing and dying in that first film.
Yes.
That was Emoto's specialty. He would photograph the crystallization process with a slow freezing. Many variables to make that very contiguous and orderly environment, right?
So I will go over to the theme of water. Maybe Stefan Ries, many have heard about him. He was an Austrian-American who detected this, he called it primary water. And he gave a lecture before the Congress, American Congress, 59, but actually people either they didn't believe or didn't wanted it. Then we have Nordenskjöld, he has had also idea, and also we took the title New Water for a Thirsty World for our projects, and before has been running my telephone because it was just because of Australia. They're really drying out some cities, and there was a call because we are in a project. Then we have another idea about water.
So
I go a little bit quick.
Some people haven't heard of primary water or deep rock water.
Yes, I go on it still. Well, it's a water science doesn't know.
Well,
And for this, they don't believe that it exists. And I have a friend, he is one of 900 dowsers who can find this water. But because he can go in resonance with this water. Then as he got older and several strokes, because his method to look for it is not good for the body. All the dowsers is a problem then they have with the body. And so I have another friend who has had another method to measure water, and this does not affect the body badly. And then we made a project together in Spain. We made little microclimber with 15 lakes on a property, and we tried that he can find the water. And when he works with aluminum cross and a calculator, and he found, because the other showed him this water in the first time, so he took the formula, and then he went on and both find on 220 hectares on the same spot, not knowing what the other did, the water.
There's some examples that if you measure the dielectric constant of the air and you walk over a strong water vein, you can measure the presence of deep water with simply a change in capacitive coupling on the surface. And so these technologies eventually allow you to reach this very deep primary or deep rock water, which is said to be like blood of the earth. And even many scientists believe the earth itself generated that water.
Yes, we come on this subject still. First, the earth itself does it, but also it comes out of the cosmos. And we have a certain idea. I made a paper. Who is interested, I can also show it later. And we have already in the Quran that for among rocks there are some. And then we have Aristoteles, but we have, I think I should have, also Moses hit a rock,
Right.
and the water came out. And I will show later a picture of an oasis where it just comes out like this.
Aristotle back for 2 seconds because we couldn't read it.
Too fast.
Too fast. Just so we can read it.
Can you read it for us? Because
The water coming from the earth unites with rainwater to produce rivers. Rainfall alone is quite insufficient to supply the rivers of the world with water.
So I jump here from Moses to this picture. That is a typically picture that a rock is broken and the water comes out, because the water is flowing in the rocks and it goes up and down. And it is the easiest to drill on hills, not when it's flowing down. For example, Hans Anton Rieder, he made a drilling on the top of a mountain in Switzerland just to show that it can't be groundwater, and on a little island in the Pacific. And we have had with Sechem, I learned to know Dr. Koschak. This is a vein star. This is a Samsam well in Mecca. So there come many rock waters together, forming a star. Here one can see the water. And I made pictures from the Samsam water, but I don't know if it's here. I will show you, this is very interesting. Last time when I've been in Cairo, I established a little laboratory there for we can make these things. And I brought water from Nestle and Coca-Cola and Volvic and Shiva. So the prices have been like from 1 to 30 and to 60. So you pay for Volvic water 60, for Coca-Cola and Nestle water 30 or 28, and for the Shiva water it was 1,5 or something. And it is from an oasis, and look how beautiful it is. And when you would look, I will show later more pictures, the Coca-Cola, of course it's tap water, it is nothing.
So the sensitive crystallization showed the geometry implicit in the local water, which actually showed the local terrain in how the water crystallized.
So you see an oasis has always the same amount of water because it is coming out of a rock. But when you would drill before or behind, you could get, because it's under high pressure. Here, Hans Anton Rieder, this is in Eritrea, and
Very good friend of Georg's.
well, we don't have the time to look the whole movie here. I just show you. You can see the scientists, the geologists, they laugh about him and they say, there's no water. And it was filmed by the Swiss television, and they asked geologists in Zurich, and they say, there's no water. Scientifically, there's no water. Then the water came, and then the reporter said, but what do you say? And he still continued, scientifically, there's no water, but it was flowing.
It's now flowing. They did this all over South Africa, an amazing team. This was called Bloom the Desert Project, part of it. We had
And the theory from Hans Anton Rieder was what he found out, that there are veins, north, south, east, west, and within 200 meters he finds one. But this have been always little, like 5 liters. And the big veins he could not find. And also there's a student from Stefan Ries in California, Paul Powers, he also finds more the little ones only.
We knew these people.
And now Norbert, my friend who learned from Hans Anton, he finds huge columns that come straight up out of the earth. And the theory from him is now that they're coming hydrogen flows like rivers out of the cosmos. They go in the earth, and with the oxygen they produce a water that is under high pressure with redox negative, different densities, they don't mix. And now these water columns, they are under incredible pressure. We just have now the contact with Australia, Stanford. There's a city, they don't have water anymore, and the people don't go out, and the politicians say, we will make everything good. But we just try to, there is a vein, but 1,000 meters deep, but it would supply the whole city. And I will show later on, well, here, I don't know if you like to read it.
In hydrology, just ideas that repudiate the traditional point of view, and therefore it's first seen using it. Einstein's expression stupid, are of a special interest. The question is, are they sufficiently paradoxical to be true? Our scientists used to think only in 3 dimensions. We'll talk about that later, yes. And others are convinced that more dimensions. And what gets materialized has its origins before. So Norbert is sure that our cosmos is full of what he calls pre-water structures forces. This is water that is not just yet materialized to what we know as water. This pre-water enters in vortices into our Earth. In a certain depth, under certain conditions, it transforms to H2 and O, and finally, under certain conditions, it turns to water as we know it, as above, so below. Pre-water, eventually primary water, comes to our existence at certain conditions. You know, when we said you can measure on the surface using improved capacitive coupling whether this deep water is one of the ways we did it as well. Later we're going to talk about the longitudinal grid. The water follows the path of least resistance and how important the longitudinal grid is. So sensing where these water veins go tells you a lot about the importance of the longitudinal.
Yes, and it is not only H2O, it's H3O and so on. They are different. And they also leave this flow, leaves also again the planet. And not all turn into water. So this was a project in Spain where we made 15 lakes. This is Hans Anton Rieder and this is Norbert. And the project was, oh no, this is now, it has been last year in the desert in Africa, but the project didn't. We have made a lot of projects, but always agreed, and in Iran they put the millionaire in prison, and when we came there was no possibility. We made drillings with Sechem and they didn't believe that it is another water. We made in California when it was so dry, and then the millionaire wanted 99%, and so many things, and we drilled the water, but then he took equipment that was cheaper, but they didn't have the right tool. Then the double head broke, the water came, but it was not enough power, because you need really a lot of power, because the water is under incredible pressure. And all these little things, when it's not, then in the end, there's no, what the success. This is here the property of my brother, where this curve is a column. It's a little property, but he has a column. And just on the other side of the way, of the street on the right, he has a hot well, but it's not his property. Hot spring, yes. And this was interesting. It was in our village where we have the seminars. It was an abundant village. You can see the blue lines. I went with Hans Anton Rieder there 14 years ago, and he showed where the vein is. And then what was Hans Anton Rieder was not so sure of the depths. And my brother then drilled 108 meters and no water came. So I phoned Norbert, and he said, yes, the water is already going very quick deep, so we just need to go like 8 meters it was, and to the mountain, to the hill, and 1/2 meter by side, and we will have the water within 12 meters, and in 12 meters came the water. But then they drilled until 33, and there was a crack in a rock, and the water stayed only from 31 to 33. So it was, again, it was a pity they drilled so deep. Here you see a little bit big veins on the global. This is...
Who made that map of the global primary water? Who made that map?
Norbert. And
Can we have it again, please?
Just pass it
Go
one more
back
time.
to that slide, just go back to that slide of the global move. Yeah, so that was Norbert, what's his last name?
Norbert Zibis. And here you can see, it is actually a film, how the pressure it comes up. And this was on the, when we made the 15 little lakes. It's beautiful, not? Where has no water been before, and between the lakes. And this was in the desert in Iran, but this didn't work because the millionary they have been in prison when we arrived, and then with the local governor, and then the machine was not right, and we drilled water, but then it was not possible to take it out with this drilling because you need a double head machine. This is a little city or little village in Switzerland having since 35 years this rock water, and it's not radiated, it's not chlorine in it, it's pure. But I like this picture on a, sorry?
Do you know where it is in Switzerland?
Yes, yes, I can show you the film
What's the name
also.
of the town?
Is with age. I have the films from the. Well, this is a problem nowadays, and I show you, for example, here a picture. One could talk very long about it, the holes in the water, but we go on. I will show other.
So that's, you're magnifying now a droplet, basically.
What are we looking at?
Yes, you see here, maybe you see here a little plant structure, what doesn't, but the rest looks a little bit like somebody spit in it.
The early pictures were crystallizations in a slow
Yes,
freeze.
this is dried drops.
Dried
Dried drops, and then you look it under microscope. So we have three ways. One is crystallization, one is dried drops, and the third thing is you make spagyric, you distillate and calcinate, and then you look the etheric forces.
Paul's
That will come now.
And by the way, Georg is something of a microscopist. He has very elaborate microscope systems.
You see here, for example, an antenna. They placed on the property of a friend. He gave it to the village, and then he couldn't sleep at all anymore. He was standing in the bed. So we could solve this problem. But the water, you can see how it looks under the antenna. And in Italy, you see the water reservoirs with hundreds of antennae. And I liked very much this picture of a Portuguese artist on an exhibition, and he was also an environmentalist. You see, the body water from him looks like the wastewater, and in Venice where it's all dirty. So just to my picture before it. And this is in Istanbul, of course, on a golden line. Also here you can see where the water is for the praying. Dr. Karim shows here where the golden line goes. And then with the water of a higher frequency, of course, then your prayings will be different. We made with biogeometry with the cubes, and I liked them very much because they look even out like the cubes.
Karim has this device of biogeometry, which is really capacitive coupling. And with certain shapes, the capacitive charge field is bioactive. That's what he means by that.
And this was in front of the office was a antenna, and this was a not very beautiful tap water. But you can see here where some structure is, there are the holes, and with we put on the bottles some biogeometry signatures, and then there have not been holes.
Like a waveguide on the bottom.
This is the way you do it. You drop drops on a crystal, and this is also very interesting. If I take the syringe and I give it to another person, all his drops will look similar. But they can be very different from mine, because you cannot avoid to influence whatever is around you. And this is very beautiful to show. I will show. This is again I've had a field on mine because of looking in the microscope. It was when the tsunami had been, and so many dead people. And I've had a friend, she dreamed always and saw always the dead people. And I have taken a field on me. And was very interesting because we came into contact, Minnie, with a boy who told that there is a Catholic ritus to get off a field. It's not an obsession, it's a field. When you go in an antiquary shop, so you take a bowl of water and you place it either here or on the knee. So the field goes in the water and then you drop and you have not holes. And
so basically, the inhabiting entity is basically a plasma field. And if the right kind of water is right at the surface, the infesting entity is a form of exorcism will actually inhabit the water and leave. And you can measure that.
I show you here that are tears, how beautiful the form, the life-giving forces we have, and here are holes in one tear. Actually, it was my tear, and it was when a friend, a harpist, died of cancer. So it was interesting that in the tear appeared these holes.
So his own tear, he measured the shape of grief.
There's a woman, I think, in Bulgaria, and her tears are crystal.
Yeah. They're also
And look, this is from a bladder, when I worked hard and got a water bladder.
You cut yourself in the blood.
But you see the beauty of the body water. And we need to have beautiful liquids, the blood, the whatever. And what is disturbing is the mobile, all this surrounding, then emotions, of course, nutrition, and so on. For example, this is when I worked, and this when I burned me. So it's the same water of my hand,
After a burn.
but you see, it's somehow the water had more suffered.
But this is blood, not water?
No water, water
Water from the body.
from the body,
Blood. It's
from a blood plaster,
Blister.
blister.
From a blister.
One was from working, and the other was from burning my finger.
This technique is it's quite famous related to what's called sensitive crystallization in the blood. There's lots of research in Steiner biodynamics, and actually Lauren was touching
But
on
this is not blood,
It's,
he said.
yes, water from the blister.
That's it.
Many Heim do these?
You see here, this is a Fruchtwasser from when a lady gives birth,
Oh,
the
yes, from the birth.
water,
Water of birth.
and
Water at birth.
this as well. And that's very interesting because a little bit similar. Who went first to space? The Russian,
Cosmonaut Sputnik?
yes? Gagarin. I met Yuri Gagarin on at the in the Iroquois nation. One of the chiefs gave me a little bit water, what he got from Yuri Gagarin, and this is out of space. That is space water. So even there you see it is very nice structured.
Georg Gaupp, the conference was in Iroquois in Austria from the Sacred River Nation.
Yes, it's one when we met.
Yes, my hometown is where they come from.
You see, this, for example, very beautiful. I just made some photos from Versteinerungen in stone, old plants, and they looked out just like this, filigrane, like tuning forks. But this is 4 different wells in a. It's like Aix-en-Provence with many fountains, where I made a symposium about water, and then they put these pictures on the fountains, so the people can see what they drink. That's also from there. And look, this is even like from a fish. Now I will show you 3 it's yes, 3 different augmentations. This is, you see a water drop like this, it looks like a valley. Then I go deeper in it, and then I go still deeper in it. So you can see also there would be infinity if we would have the technology.
Fractal, yes.
Yes.
What's the magnification?
It is between 20 and 400. And look, this is on this event. There came somebody and said he brought up now on the market a 500-year-old water. He made it well new and it's sold in biological stores. And I took it, and in the first drop I got this flower. Isn't it beautiful? But then it was interesting. After 6 months there was nothing to see. And just the day before I came, I made another photo of a water I make since 14 years, always looking at this water. And it comes off a depth of 1,192 meters. And this also, after 2 years or 3 years, it's dying after 4 or 5 years. It's so this is one picture of this water I'm talking about.
That's like a cellular.
Where's that from?
You see, it's like seaweed and
Where was that from? Where are these from?
Austria,
Where?
Blumau.
Yeah.
It is where the Hundertwasser, they have all the houses in.
Spring or from a drill?
From a drill.
From a drill.
They have been looking for oil, but then they found this water. And
it was more valuable.
for example, in the next village, you have heated water. The people go to swim. So I made them, I suggested them, I will show you. This is all, I made like a voyage in a water drop, swimming, looking. It's like diving, not? This is even really an ankh and has all the polarities like the real ankh.
Oh, like the polarity. the shape
Yes,
of the arm.
and it has plus, minus, and
See
so
the
on.
arc in there? Right.
So I made them proposal that the people know in what they're swimming. And this is a resting room, and it has even 16 parts what gives sacred energy. And here they should pass through.
So in the spa, they show pictures of Georg's work of what the water looks like inside.
Yes, I wanted to make it, but then there is not only the owner, because it's Hundertwasser, and he is a holy cow with his art, and how can I be a part of this holy cow?
Well, in other words, he was, sacred.
But imagine you go and you know in which kind of forces you're swimming.
So when you go swimming in that water, you can see it.
So this is only visual.
Oh, that's an exhibition, I see. So they were supposed to put it there.
I came to water through Walter Schauberger, the son of Victor Schauberger, and you know this, he calls it der klingende Turm, the sounding, is a parabol, hyperbol curve of the overtones.
Oh, yes, and that's Schauberger's.
Walter discovered it, yes, and what it has in common with water. This is very interesting. I like it very much from Roslin Chapel. And you see, out of the mouth are coming forms.
What chapel?
Roslin Chapel.
Oh, yes,
Yes.
Roslin Chapel, okay.
So you see, this is it's an image of the word V, and it has a form and of course an energy.
As in Volta.
This is K. And Rudolf Steiner said for the eurythmy, you must make it like a pyramid, like this, you see, and actually the K, I don't know how he could know it, you know, he said
Could you
it has,
describe how that was recorded? So you say the sound ka and...
and you, with smoke and in a freezing box.
Oh, you freeze the smoke. You say
No,
ka.
you go in a freezing box and it is a friend, anthroposoph friend, who makes his experiments, who is interested, Sergei Mantier. He's an anthroposoph from Freiburg and very nice person. Well, you spoke before, I mean, the throat is like the uterus, it can give birth. And this is a flow form. But it is like the throat. So we can understand that the throat, and maybe humanity in future will bring beings through the throat. This is very known, it's, how is it called? She published it in the time from Rudolf Steiner. These are actually sounds, of spoken sounds with the idophone. Like you have to, no, it's before Lauterwasser. How is it called? Rosaline, I don't know. I must look. In the moment I forgot.
Spoken sound into water.
Not in water. It is a water, and you put a membrane on it, and then powder.
Oh, so it's a
And yes, it's not. It's kind of cymatic. They call it with the idophone. Cymatic will come later, but it's cymatic. Interesting is, look, this is a real flower, and this is by a sound of a human. And she was very good. Look, she made even a tree. And here, you see, this is the end of a river in...
the river delta.
Here's finished the water. And this is one of my drops. It's, you find things like, it's like the memory of... This is very interesting. I don't have the pictures here now. There is a machine from the Russian invented for the field if they get polluted. And I put in one glass, 2 glasses of water, in one I put ink. It was completely blue, but then it disappears and it's white. But in the picture you can see the very differences, but it's a whole theme. I just show you 2 pictures. They're like calligraphy, also interesting. And also the sunshine makes things similar, like it's an old document, Japanese writing.
Well, the calligraphy looks like the shape of charging water.
Yes. And this is a distillation process. You distillate, then you calcinate, and then you look it under the microscope. And then you see the etheric forces. When you have a good water, a very strong water, you really see right away, all what I showed you until now was just right. Not a spagyric way. I tried before leaving, still with your tool.
A biodynamic tri-floater.
And I could only see, I can show you later, it has a strange lines, but it didn't restruct the water, but it will when I make it spagyric. So many things I did just by drying, and you don't see a change. But then on a higher level, on the etheric level, you see, for example, look, that's not fishes, that is like an information in the water. And
shadow of the charged field calls it information.
this is dried. So sometimes there are also little beings. Malidoma Sommet, he wrote about his initiation, a book, and it's called Of Water and Spirit, and there he talks like they have to see, they sit there or they until they see the beings in water, in fire. What we here don't believe that it exists,
cells
So,
and the elemental plasma beings are very real in the water. This is one way.
so I like, this is also information of a tribolith that is not existing since thousands of years, but in the water
The
drop.
water remembers the creature that's been...
And this is maybe Nessie from Loch Ness, but you can find things. I will show you here now the flow of water a little bit. This is the Himalaya to India from a picture of NASA. And on the surface of water, you call it Ebru. I can show you that is what we can get when we make Ebru. The colors, it's a technique you put when you paint, you have a certain glue in it, you put it in the water, and then you put colors, and then all the flow forms, like from Schwenk, you can make in pictures. It's very, look, this is some different, this is from water surface, so you can see the flow forms. Now, I thought, you know, you should combine a little bit the art. So nature is the greatest artist, and I thought maybe in a certain alchemistic liquid, what has, you see only one color, like this. But when you look in the microscope, you find all colors, and the form-giving forces are creating, and I make exhibitions of these pictures, and then I come to the other theme. And also, this is my cosmic harp. This is the edge of a drop. It looks like a universe. This is very interesting. You have the word Allah.
Oh, the word Allah.
Yes, and this is incredible. Look, the different layers, and even like ash flying up. One cannot see it so good because it's not dark.
Yeah.
You should see it here.
Yeah.
So, do you see the forces? Kind of. So I thought, let's go into fashion. And very quick, I show you. That's one of my models. That's my niece. And these are the divine names.
Divine names
on-
and crystallization. This is the
And
free-
look, it's also nice. It's an Austrian castle of snow. It's a real.
Georg has a network of people around the world that do this work, that visualize the energy shapes in water to learn about what memories are in the water, and we work with all the famous people. Minnie Hein, he mentioned, is a very powerful shaman. I work with
Isn't it
her.
beautiful?
And this, actually, Minnie used to work at University of
So we go. It goes on and on. So this is from Lauterwasser. It's too long now. You can see how it moves, like already before had been in the theme
We have
about
that-
cymatic.
Cymatic.
Maybe we look at one. This is now pictures. When you make 950 pictures in the second, then you get it. But when you see it, of course, it is. Now it's another. So you see the transformation here. Well, it's when it's vibrating, of course, 1,000 pictures in the second.
Is that film up there, or that's just because that's a beautiful film.
Yes, films, but it would take too long. I would like to show this. It's here a spiral in a dew drop.
In a dewdrop.
Yes,
Dewdrop in?
and this is a cosmic spiral.
Very alchemic.
And
The alchemists collect the dew for an electric
yes,
reason.
2 weeks before Easter,
That's right.
in
Because the dew is
it has.
almost
I have-
slightly charged.
I have other pictures of dew from this here, but I don't have it here in this
My initial
presentation.
W,
So you see also things, the cymatic and the sunflower and the Geraden of Venus and Saturn, and I just goes quick through. Now, just a little, because we come a little thing is also interesting. You see the normal side of a man in the day. This is when twilight is, and this can make a photo machine. Not digital modern. That is
You
old.
have to tell them what you're measuring here. These are scientists.
Wait, this is published by Daniel Swarovski, who has had a friend who could see the elementals. And she said when he shall click, because he didn't see it. But the photo machine took, for example, this, you see?
The concept of measurement doesn't exist for Georg. That's one thing you need to know. Georg, they want to know what you meant, the previous slide, what you measured.
No, this is out of the book from Swarovski. He says the normal eye can see like this. In twilight you see more, and a photograph machine, and
Because that was the frequency response of the eye.
yes, and actually also a friend of mine with interesting inventions. He has had also old camera for protection, and could film the aura of a human. But now you have filters in it. But just of the nose now seen. Look, that's also a flame in Agnihotra,
Oh, yes.
made by my son. And you see Merlin, for example.
Oh, look what's in there, right? And they call them the fire elementals.
But these are not higher beings now. We measured it. But look, also it's looking at you. And
Agnihotra is conscious.
and by filming a water, look, there also is a. It's now it's a little bit pressed. It's
Somebody's living in there.
yes. That's what Malidoma says. Well, this is again from a alchemistic script. All the Arabic vowels connecting with the organs, and I just would like to see what we don't see. This is, for example, made by somebody. It's a thought photography. He thinks of this, and somebody photographed his thought. I have a book about it here. From the question is, I think it's more a vocal is not is more a toroid shape. It's not like a cymatic.
He's not going to tell us how they
Now,
photograph the soul.
I just showed a little bit what we don't see, and maybe, and so, but this is real now.
Here, they want to know how you photograph the soul. Yeah.
Sorry?
They want to know how the soul is photographed. We are
This,
scientists.
yes, look, you can, I don't know, it is not dark enough. It's, there is, yes, you can explain it later. There's a little girl in Switzerland who is making now, I know her very well and her mother, and when she gives a conference, 2,000 people are coming now. After 1 year, she outed herself. She's traveling in the 12 dimensions, and she said one thing, just so, she said she's not judging, but she wants that we know that when an organ is transplanted, the astral body of this person cannot go before the organ is dead. And you can see here, I don't know because it's not light enough, this man has a heart transplantation, and you see his face, and here you see the face of the man with the heart.
So the heart
Here you can see it very clear.
sees. Yeah.
The one looks like this, and the other looks like this.
Yes.
You
So
can
your
see it
heart
here.
transplant receiver, the shadow of the person who had the original heart shows up over meaning the original person whose heart was transplanted into as an astral spirit cannot leave.
So you talked about coherence, and coherence would be a whole chapter now. I will make some very quick. This is a lady from India in London. She worked with Patrick Richard, who invented a tool high like this. It's an open swing circle or something. When I see it, I can't know what it is really. But when this tool is in the room, you can see if a person is coherent. And you see here she's not coherent, and then taking a frequency, and she developed a female and a male frequency, you're straight away coherent, because she's a depth psychologist, and she says all this takes too long and you don't find it really, and so on. My Sufi friend, the Sufi master, he could, by clairvoyance, say what was the reason of the sickness. As well, a friend of mine, Mini Heim, she could by kinesiology. And I just show you very quick, it's interesting how one is interacted. This is only a photo. The lady is not coherent. You put the frequency before her and the picture is coherent.
What frequency?
Yes, I come on it still. It's a frequency that is connected with the zero field. That's all I know from her. And I asked her this, and that was the answer. But you see, for example, we talked the other day, maybe it's the chakras that are not in line, but also the spiral. So a human is a multi-dimensional being, as you see. And then I jump now over some
We're
other.
ready for lunch, just like a couple minutes and then.
Yes, this is a water. It's not structured. Now I got the idea. If these frequencies, I have it here, you can see them, are in, it is a frequency put in fat and then melted in glass. So when you take them in the hand, it changes like this. So I don't have a luminato, it's called. There are 20. And just now, the lady who worked with Patrick Richard died, and 3T sold it to a, I know him very well, from Hong Kong, but he's stealing all and publishing under his name. But anyhow, I didn't get it. It was sold for 14,000. It would have been interesting. But I thought, as I don't have the machine, and we are 60, 70, the brain 90% water, then it must be visible in water. So I put it in water, and according to Dr. Ciccolo, with whom I worked, and we made, you see, the water structured in the golden mean angle, and I thought one should see it. This is with the female frequency, and this is with the male frequency, and this is with both together. Then she made a stone actually for water, and we made several experiments last summer. Put it just like in the water, or this under the water, or 9 drops from the structured water in another liter, or then I put it on where the entrance of the house came. And after 3 days, I started until over midnight. I just wanted to see if you can see something. And the water was so beautiful, from an ugly water, what is from the city. It was like Christmas, really. So this frequency built up a huge field, and the water flowing through like in a fraction of a second was completely beautiful structured. So this is a theme about coherence that is, I just show and you don't have to, I don't speak to you, so you see blood structured, not structured. This is when a person got a shock, and then he drops water. here is two different persons drop a saliva. That is saliva through influence from mobile phone. This was a student of mine. She got in the mental hospital. She got balanced off this friend. And look how the saliva changed from 1 second to another.
Wow.
And she was fine for 3 days. Then came an influence again and she fell back. So you see different of milk, how it can be good or bad. When you have cancer, you see, this is structured by a place, and this is a whole chapter, but I end with 5. This is Quinton, I don't know who knows Quinton, and what it makes. And here you see the vortex in the, and I finish with, that is milk in the coffee. And there would come, if you like to say, I let it run, it is a congress we made on cymatic. And
Thank you.
thank you. I let it run fast. You see it, how they fly.
He's a hero. And his lady is magical too. You meet Ryu from Denmark.
This is one last sentence. Here, Gabriel Kellerman, I don't know who heard about him. He's a Romanian university professor. And he got, in a flow form, a human face. One can see it in the, that's him. And he shows, like, from plant, from human, from planets all over, they're coming the same structures always. And there is, this is Auerbach, who also is with the wave. I don't know if you know him.
Georg knows everything.
You have a website?
No.
A website.
I'm on constructing. I've had several, and now I put it together.
Oh. Yes, please.
But it's really interesting when you see a human face, but the brain does not, it's only until here. But all are flow forms. I mean, from the embryo, all how we change always, like the watermelon before. And here's also the grandchild from Schauberger. And oh yes, I'm constructing instruments where you can sit and lay in it. That's a dome, and it's constructed according to biogeometry. It is a sacred space, and heart rate variability is within 2.5 minutes a third better. My son has a tool where heart rate ability is put in music, in sound, and he says it, he developed it. This is Sergei Mantier with and this is anthroposophy has a beautiful invention. You see all the intervals and sounds in a certain software. Science is good, but it cannot explain all.
Hear that?
When was that?
I think 3 years ago.
Is it annual? No?
Sorry?
Is it annual now?
Not until now.
Okay.
Georg's book is in German, but it's gorgeous. And Georg sponsored most of the international conferences on water in Europe. We spoke at the one in Inns, Austria, which Georg organized, and also one he's organized in Spain.
Are you here on Monday night with the panel? Are you here Monday night?
Yes.
I can be
Because
here.
we could play this again on Monday night also.
Okay,
Yeah, yes.
but it's finished now. This is
The folks in the kitchen are.
Hans Jeni
The French chef.
who brought it up again. It's finished now.
Okay, we can replay this.
But if you
guys,
wait,
Monday night.
you see the face.
We can do questions on Monday night.
It comes now.
It's coming.
Thank you very much.
Um,